Even though a nice place, yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. Thank you for joining. I think others will join. I think I'm also joined by Elisa and Cesar of Global Chamber. I think I messed up because one of the speakers I wanted to have here was the facilitator. She's a new member from New Jersey, and I don't think I invited her, and I couldn't remember. I was trying to search for the connection. I had invited her to this meeting, but didn't see her in the meeting notes. So hopefully she'll join, and if not, we can at least talk about it generally, and then include her the next time. There were several things that we wanted to cover today, and then just turn it over to you. The most important thing is GC communities. And so it's going out in the next hour or two in the newsletter. The newsletter is a little bit late this week because of some computer problems. But you may have been seeing that we've been looking to introduce the communities, the conversation points within Global Chamber. It's taken longer than we thought it would take. I thought we'd be here about 2 months ago, but that didn't work out. But now we are there. We're finally at that point where we're rolling it out. There are already some communities out, and over the next several days, most of them will be introduced. And we wanted to let you know that some of you have already been selected as facilitators for some of the groups. And so Yelim Ku, again, I'm not sure we've coordinated this very well. So I don't think she's here. She's not. That's sad. Next time we'll coordinate to make sure that you're aware, you know her, that you're connected to her, and you're familiar with the work that she's doing, which is the community work, the app work, and rolling out the new Global Chamber app, and other marketing activity. I think the good news out of all this, even though it's delayed a couple months, is that we've had an opportunity to really look at it and find ways to universalize this so that everybody in the world can participate through the technology, which is simply WhatsApp. So it's not more complicated than that. We all use it already. Many Americans don't use it. In Japan and South Korea, they have alternatives to it. But I would say if there is a universal platform for connecting and communicating, WhatsApp is it. And so in all the different technologies that we looked at to create communities, we thought WhatsApp was the best. I'm convinced it's the best for what we need. So that more people get involved, and that's really what we want to have happen. So over the next several days, watch for being asked to facilitate in some of these groups. I would categorize the two kinds of groups as regional ones, so that some of them are chapter groups, some of them are regional groups. Meaning like a continent or a region within a continent or a state or a province. So there's a group of them like that, maybe about 100 or so that we've identified as the initial group. And then secondly, let me just decline that. And secondly, there are subject matter groups, and those groups, you're actually already part of one. It's called GC Leaders. And so what we were able to do was, for our leadership team around the world, both executive directors and global advisors, there's a WhatsApp group that we've already been using. That's slipped under the Global Chamber community, or one of the communities, and it's our number one community so far. And then there are other groups coming in under that, most of them new, and some of them are a market segment like semiconductors. would be one, or aerospace and automotive. Those are all different groups. And then some of them are event oriented. So the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas has one, the Olympics has one, and there are others. So I encourage you, as you get the link in the next couple days. The link is already out. I think we're almost ready to share it until we get a few more facilitators in the groups. You'll be able to join all the groups. I think I've seen some of you already in there. It's kind of leaking out, and we have members starting to seep in, but it's really going to start over the next few days, led by Yelemku. Cesar, did I leave anything out, or is there anything else that you think it's important to clarify at this point?
Hi, hey Doug, and hi everyone. No, I think as you mentioned, Doug, everyone here should be already in the community because you're part of the Global Chamber Leaders Group. So if you haven't noticed any difference, just go to WhatsApp and click under communities, and you should see the Global Chamber one there, and then you will start seeing the different groups that we have put together. If that's not the case, just let me know, and we're happy to add you to the group. But so far, I think you covered pretty much all, Doug. Thanks.
Okay. So what that means is, in WhatsApp, at least on my phone, at the bottom center, there's a communities. I never really noticed it too much. It was mostly somewhat annoying for some groups that I really wasn't that interested in. But now with Global Chamber, we've got the community, and then underneath that, there's I think about 50 groups that we've identified. So if you're in the community, you'll be able to see them, and it says, you may join these groups. Feel free to jump in. They're not really being facilitated yet, but over the next several days, they will be. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Doug, I have a quick question.
Yeah, Maimun. Good to see you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. So I do see a lot of these groups when we log into GC Leaders or GC Global. Should the executive directors be in all of the groups, or for example, the advisory board members, the advisory board chair, or is it selectively for them?
Some of them we may actually retract. We had a meeting where they're not going to be visible to everybody, to members. I guess I'm thinking in terms of this team and this group of people, you can join any of them that you want, but you do not need to join all of them. You should join the ones that you're interested in. You should stay in GC Leaders. That's the one where we're communicating on a regular basis. But beyond that, you're already in the community, so that's really only announcements that come out. It's not really a conversation, but the groups are the conversation. Just choose the ones that you're interested in and go from there. The next layer of communities that are not yet open to you, but will be in the next few days, are the regional ones. The first easy ones are some that we already kind of have established. And then over the next couple days, I think tomorrow, actually, we have a meeting where that should all be set. So by the end of the week, we'll be able to communicate out. I'll probably send out a message over the weekend that says, here's what the groups look like. Yelem will create that, and we'll get that out to you so you can get a visual picture of, here are the subject matter groups, which you can see already, most of them there, and then the regional groups, and here's how they're going to be laid out.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions or thoughts?
No, maybe I'm sorry, Doug, it's Fernando. We have some groups in the WhatsApp, like for example, Spanish Global Chamber, Barcelona Global Chamber. So the idea is to adding all of these into this community, so we can track all the groups in the same place, right?
Exactly. There are some groups that are very active. The Iberia one is one of the best groups in terms of conversation and interaction, and it actually has been a model for us to think about how should we facilitate and structure these. So the Iberia, the Spain one, that one will fall under a community. We're not sure what, probably until tomorrow. It'll either fall under like a Europe one, or it'll fall under, Western Europe one, or it'll be a Europe EU one. We're not sure exactly what it'll fall under, which community. We found out that each group can only fall under one community, so the design of it becomes fairly important. And so I think that'll be set tomorrow. But nonetheless, similar to the GC Leaders Group that you're all part of, you didn't have to do anything to suddenly become falling underneath the Global Chamber community. We just moved it over, and now you're there. Similarly, with Iberia, there would be no noticeable difference other than suddenly there'll be a community on top of you, where announcements are made. We're just not sure exactly what that'll be. There's some other examples that are, I'd say, good and bad. In Cote d'Ivoire, we have a very active WhatsApp group. I'm going to guess that that's probably going to fall under an Africa community, where there'll be a group that's all like a Pan-Africa one, and then we'll split that into different groups, and we'll slip the Cote d'Ivoire one underneath it. If some of you are in there, probably Ruby is in there. It's noisy. There's a lot going on. I don't completely understand how that fits our model, other than it's helping, or it seems to be helping people communicate. I don't know what to think of it yet. I don't know how to react to it, other than just to leave it alone until we figure out what's the best thing for not just the members, but hopefully, the community there. Similarly, Benin and Togo have a very similar active activity led by Claudia, and it's very noisy. There's almost no members of Global Chamber. And so how do we go from a very, when I say noisy, I mean busy, very busy, lots of activity, lots of communication, but nobody's a member. So that's, the good news is there's a lot of activity and people seem to get value out of it. The opportunity is that we could probably shift some of that activity to people becoming members, and we don't know how to do that yet. And so we're working on that. So it's a gift. We just don't know what to do with the gift. Any other questions on that? Because the communities are, I would say, in terms of like a 3-tier rollout right now of for members, the GC communities, the app that's coming out that I will say that ultimately should have artificial intelligence. The first issue of it will not. It'll largely be a very simple connecting capability to other members and to our team around the world. The very basic functionality. We won't know until tomorrow. Most of the bugs are supposed to be brought out by tomorrow. Let's say it goes another week. I would say certainly this month you'll be able to access that, take a look at it, give us your opinion about it, and go from there. But ultimately, what we want that app to be is an ability to have members connect, certainly, have members see the events that they want to see, like give their thought. That's where the artificial intelligence, or part of where the artificial intelligence can come in. We're not, I don't think, even close to that in terms of capability as I understand it. But we certainly could be, depending on how this first rollout goes. So communities, the app, and the other kind of communication forum that, I think has been well established and we get a lot of member activity in is our LinkedIn group. And there again, there's daily activity in there. It's mostly outbound, not a lot of engagement. But I think there's ways to create more engagement, probably not a lot of engagement, but at least more focused in on here's an event, or here's something that's happening, or here's a blog, or here's a podcast, but not so much of a communication. The communication would be in the WhatsApp group. So the WhatsApp group, the app, and the LinkedIn group are kind of a three-legged stool of communication for members to hopefully get value and to connect with each other. And one of the things I've noticed about the WhatsApp is that it creates stickiness. It creates a lot of value for people. We just have to design it properly, because we can't have one big group where all members are joining, because every member has very unique and different needs. And so we need a group for all members. That's okay, but for detailed conversations, and if somebody has some wheat that they want to purchase, or a copper wire, they're looking for a copper wire provider, doing that in a big group of people who have a lot of interest doesn't make sense. And so that's why we've gone to specialty groups, specialty regions, and allowed us to be able to direct people to smaller areas where there's not thousands of people with lots of divergent interests, so that they can have good conversations. That's why it's taken a little bit of time to design it. I feel really good about what they are, but we encourage you to, as you get involved, to think about what's best for you and the people that you know. Make some suggestions about other groups. And maybe as some bigger groups are available, splitting into smaller groups, that could make sense. So give us your thoughts along the way. Send it to either Cesar, myself, or to Yelim, and we'll make sure that you're all connected to Yelim over the next few days.
Hi, Duke. Just Munir. It's Munir.
Hey, Munir.
How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for putting that event
Good.
together that's coming up later this month.
Yeah, so just I want to share my thoughts about WhatsApp group. So I think this idea of of making or letting the non-members join at first stage, it's good, because we can, for example, they can know more the Global Chamber by seeing the event, and also discovering the many webinars that we organize. So WhatsApp will be a tool to share effectively the webinars and the events. It's more visible than the LinkedIn and other social marketing tools. So I think like this group of Spain, we can also create a group of Morocco. So we can share, for example, the event, and letting non-members access and discover the Global Chamber. And by joining these webinars, they will become members, because they will see the utility of the network and the strength of the network. And I think this noise, as you said, is very good at this first stage. It will let the GC more knowledgeable, and also by its event and by its actions. So just one question. For example, these groups that you created, so as a member, we can add other non-members, or no? We can just...
I think you should use your best judgment. I would say it's a good question. I think on the regional side, if you like, for Global Chamber Morocco group, which I think we'll have, you would have unlimited openness to do that. If it was the automotive group, I guess it's open. I would just say use your best judgment. It's really intended to be for members. And so if you have a non-member that you think should be part of it, feel free to do it in your own regional group. That's up to you. if it's a other group like an automotive or semiconductor or something like that, I would just ask you to think about making sure that the person is a very unique, special person and has, you know, a reasonable likelihood of interacting with us and becoming a member at some point. But I would still say err on the side of including them, and let's learn more about them. Certainly in the regional groups, go ahead. Sort of like the Cote d'Ivoire and the Benin and Togo ones. There's a lot of non-members. We don't know what to do with that yet. But creating interaction seems to be a good thing. and it means that there's value there. And so if there's value there, we'll figure it out.
Yes, sure.
Hey, Doug, Stephanie, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, Stephanie, hi.
Hey, how are you? What's the process on adding a new group? If we wanted to add a new group, do we need to talk with you and Cesar to vet it, just to talk about what the purpose of the group is?
Yeah, I think it probably would be best in the beginning to send a message to Yelim, and just, you know, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about this. You know, on the regional side, we already have Texas already kind of designed. And so that'll, if you haven't seen it yet, we'll share that. In fact, we have like Global Chamber, Dallas, we have the advisory board for Dallas, we have placeholders for other chapters. We have group like both California and Phoenix are already built out. Not Phoenix, Arizona and
Dallas.
California.
Yeah, I didn't see Dallas yet.
It's not up yet. So because but the model will be similar to, and you wouldn't seen this either. The Arizona one has got an Arizona community, and the California one has a California community with 4 chapters associated with it. So that one is probably the closest thing to Texas. We visualize that there'll be a Texas community where we can communicate to the entire group of members in Texas, and then each chapter will have its own group, and then each advisory board within each chapter would have its own group, and likely if there are committees or where there are committees, those would have groups as well. And that's what the model is so far.
Yeah, the one I'm looking to create is global food insecurity.
Okay, well, there's a food and beverage one, or I think there is one. And so if that one's,
It's a different from food and beverage. It's more food insecurity.
Okay.
So I saw the food and beverage one, but I don't think that's the right one, but I can talk with you and Jenny about it later.
yeah, we'll send a message to Yelim. It's a good question that we hadn't really fully thought out, because I think you all have capability to start your own group. And so what I would just suggest is we'll set the rule that if you're thinking about starting a group, please talk to Yelim. The reason why we have to have some level of control is I think there's only 100 groups that we can put under a community, and we're already at 50 for the first community, the Global Chamber community. So we want to be smart about it.
Yes.
We can create another community, but those groups we have to create another community, and so you have to now have 2. So we want to be smart about it. So I'll send a message, if Cesar hasn't already, to Yelim, so we can first of all make sure that that's the right process to talk to Yelim or send an email to her, and then whether food insecurity should be a group.
Okay, thank you.
And you bring up a really good point around like some of our events. I think there's one of the groups is called the League event or the League group, and it's built around that event. Or there's one on women in global leadership. And so if there are events that we do that are kind of ones that continue, it probably would make sense to have a group associated with it. And Women in Global Leadership is a signature event for Global Chamber. The League events now are signature. those are groups. And so if food insecurity ends up being a global issue with people from around the world that would be interested in it and enough interest, then we should probably have a group there as well.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? And if not, that was mainly what I wanted to cover. Let me just look at the list. Just a quick overview of some of the things, the other things going on. It's in the meeting notice, but the 5 executive directors who were awarded last month as the top EDs, we do have interns assigned to each of them. I think there's a couple on this call, and so we'll get that out to you. It just was kind of set, so we had a bunch of new interns, and so we're just trying to figure out who's going to do what. And then the communities took more time than we thought, and it will take more time, going forward. So we have that set. So if that was that's happening right now, so be aware of that. Let's see. The SOPs are updated. For executive directors have one, version 23. The global advisors have one, also version 23, and the advisory board chairs version 2. If you have an advisory board chair and they haven't seen the SOP, let us know, and we'll make sure that they have access to that drive on the folder. It's only about a 2-page description of what the roles are and what to expect, but it's still hopefully helpful, and we'll continue to revise it just like with the SOPs. The facilitation, I thought we would have that conversation today, but I think I messed up and didn't invite her properly, so we'll do that next month. And then I'd say the last thing before we just open it up for Q&A is one of the things we've been working on, especially the last few weeks, is the concept of scaling Global Chamber at a more rapid rate. And I part of that is bringing on new people. So we're interviewing for 4 new people at the headquarters. We also have a variety of interns. I think we have about a half a dozen that are with us right now. And so we have a lot going on around processes and systems. One of the hires is someone to help me with the chapter growth. I've been a little bit overwhelmed with another thing that's been a little bit overwhelming, is just following up with members and prospects on getting them to both sign and also to renew. But Cesar has spent quite a bit of time with Elisa on creating a process around that. We've started to roll it out. It, quite honestly, hasn't worked that well so far in the first week. It has a few bugs to it, but it will work, because now I think the bugs are out of it, and we've already had, I think somebody signed up yesterday, even though it was a little bit of an imperfect process, and we know what went wrong. We'll get that fixed, and by next Monday, we have a variety of renewals going out, and we've got a system now where we are following up with prospects going forward. So we've got that going on and scaling that. Ultimately, the master Google spreadsheet that we follow both prospects and renewals needs to be a CRM system, and I think we recognize that needs to be the case. And so I would think probably by January we'll have that, but we need somebody assigned to that and somebody to work on what is the CRM system that will replace what we internally use as a CRM system, but you don't really have good access to it. We could give you kind of how it works, but it's not one integrated system, and it really does need to be that. And we recognize that. I recognize that. Should have probably moved on it faster, but it is what it is. Look for that going forward. If in the meantime, in the next few months, you'd like kind of to mimic what we've been using for a CRM system, which works pretty well. It's a Google Sheet system, but nonetheless, it works pretty well. Let us know and we can get you set up. I know some of you already are. So scaling is a big deal. We want to have all of the chapters by the end of this year to have at least a global advisor set into it. And that's a heavy lift, so that by next year, we can fully begin to really get to the next level of building out the chapters more actively. And also next year, we recognize that we're going to need to do something with our website. And so one of the hires is a marketing person, so that we can get somebody really working on the website and supporting you. Right now, we've been doing a lot of support of chapters with interns, and that's not a long-term solution. We really need somebody at headquarters to be an ongoing resource other than Cesar and I. And Elisa has been the first step to that. She's been doing great. I think maybe even Stephanie, you just added an event. There are a number of different other events that have been added just in the last few days. Without Elisa, I'm not sure how we would be surviving right now. She's been doing great work, but we recognize more is necessary because Cesar and I don't want to break. We want to be healthy and happy, and want to be able to help and support you guys to be successful and be more successful. So that's about all I had. Cesar, anything from you before we just turn it over to everybody else?
Thank you, Doug. I think I would add that I just want to mention now in the summer, there's a lot of things happening in Europe, like with Yuka in Spain and the summer barbecue in London with Katie, and the Olympics that we're doing with Ananias and Casey. And so if anyone have connections in that region or have some prospect members interested in the region, I wanted to bring that up and mention it because there's a lot of things happening, and so it's probably good momentum to get the people connected into that.
Yeah, Yuka's been a whirlwind, and she's got a lot of collaborations going on and a lot of new members, and it's been awesome. Really strong Spain and UK right now, and looking to continue to grow and expand in Europe and around the world. What questions does anybody have? What needs do you have? What observations, ideas? Please feel free to either just go around the room, say hi, and share any thoughts you have.
Hi,
I could
everyone.
share.
Okay,
Sorry.
who's that?
Well, I was saying hello. I thought somebody else is.
Oh, hi, RT. How are you? Good to
Hi.
see you. Why don't you go first?
Oh, yes, sure. Well, hello, everybody. Doug, at the moment, I'm a bit going slow because of my leg injury. Still, my left leg is in a cast, so I'm just working from home and working on the Goa chapter, where I'm trying to put in my advisory board members in place. So up till now, 7 to 8 professionals have come on board. I think I have shared the link with you. And yeah, the process is on, but my activity has slowed down a little bit. So what I'm doing the most is attending all our meets and trying to observe and learn from other EDs and chapters of how to structure my coming year, my chapter. And well, getting there, once I'm out of my cast and again mobile, I think I'll speed up my process. So that's where I can sum up right now.
What does your recovery time look like?
1 more week to go before my cast comes off, and then probably a little bit on my feet. But I'm working from home and doing whatever I could online. That's how I am at this point of time.
Got it. Well, thank you, and we love the fact that we've got a growing India team. The last several months, Shankar has been kind enough to lead the monthly India call. I don't remember when the next one is, but it's usually around the 3rd week. And I believe Manoj has got this one. And so thanks for your leadership, and looking forward to growing in India. I think still I remain committed that both Africa and India are probably the two most important regions of the world over the next 10 years in terms of growth, in terms of where we need to be. And so we look forward to supporting your success there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Hey, Shankar, how are you? Good to see you.
you. Good to see you, Doug. Thank you so much. And I see all the progress that is happening, and there is a certain phase of momentum over here with new connections coming off the LinkedIn, and I'm following up with them, and very much focused on the FDI aspect of the work that we're doing, and looking forward to that program as well to participate and bring in my little bit. The fact that I have completed the book, a survival guide for the new world market environment, along with a colleague, Aldous. And that's a program and a manual designed for bringing consultants on board, so that when we have US companies and Europe companies looking at India, we are able to also give them tailor-made training programs. So that makes it good for them, good for us, and also for the trade officers that are actually trying to do all this at a high level. So that's what I am about these days.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you for the foreign direct investment focus. It's a critical one for India, for sure.
That's right. Also trying to coordinate with the GIFT City, which is India's first financial city, which is a tax haven. So we would be able to get a lot of traction over there, given the fact that they are also looking to build their connections around the world. So I'm having meetings, multiple meetings, and then I will bring on board a few connections as we go along, maybe even have some kind of a chat with the top guys on what they are looking at, like an interview format. And I'll turn to you, Doug, for your support.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Hey, this is Stephanie. I have a question to the group in regards to member retention. Does anyone have any, I guess I would say, anything that they've seen that's worked successfully in regards to member retention? What I just started doing is sending out emails and saying, hey, I would like to connect with you, just to kind of, touch bases with them about their business and how Global Chamber can partner or assist them or be value added to their business. But I wanted to know, does anyone else have something else that worked, very well for them in their chapter and retaining their members, especially?
Could I just make a comment about what I saw? Because the other day I thought I was close to 0 emails, and somehow I got copied on your emails that you were sending out to members.
Yes.
And I was great. I thought it was fantastic. So thank you for doing that initiative. Did you do that yourself, or did you help? Yeah. Did Alyssa help on that?
No, I did it myself. I just carbon copy you guys so that you all could be aware of what I was doing. Yeah.
So this was a series of emails that Stephanie sent out. Were they to members?
It was to my members. Yeah, I have about a handful, maybe 20 existing members. Okay. And I haven't met them. So there was others that I had met, so I didn't send them that email. But the ones that I have not met, they were the ones that I sent those emails to, and I carbon copy you and Cesar and Alyssa so that you guys can be aware what was going on.
I thought that was great. So my own experience with the retention is to make sure that you always have an event on your calendar. Make sure that and we're, I think, doing a lot better job of this, is alerting you when their memberships expire. We should all have visibility of when that is, so that you've got those folks in mind and you've got them either speaking or making introductions. And Cesar, you're doing a lot of work in that area. What would you like to comment on that and how that's evolving?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, Stephanie, we do have a process, and so normally, when a member joins, right now Elisa is the one that's doing the onboarding, and she's sending them like a bunch of next steps, calendar invites, and we are then planning the onboarding calls, which, if there's an ED, ideally is the ED to run the call, and then we can join to support. If there's no ED, we either Doug and I can get to the onboarding, but then we have Elisa also sending messages like in the 4 to 6 month mark of the membership to kind of reconnect and make sure that the member is participating, is getting connections and all that. And now we established something automatically in the system that will be reaching out 90 and 60 days before the renewal. So that's the process from HQ. But I will always encourage the ADs to set the time with the member, at least after the onboarding, probably in the 4-6 month mark, trying to set up a meeting with the member and see where things stands, and making sure the member is getting connections, is getting exposure, is even speaking or joining in one of our League of Extraordinaries or opportunities. Some of the ADs are doing that, and they're kind of come back to us and say, hey, Cesar, please make sure that this member is in one of the League of Opportunities in the next 2 months. So that type of initiative is what's keeping the member busy at the end, and honestly getting the value of the Global Chamber. I don't know if that's helpful, but I wanted to bring that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, by giving them a connection that results in typically business, and they recognize the value. We have members who may have had a deal that happened 6 years ago, and we're kind of still living off of that, the memory of that and the appreciation of that. And so one good connection, cements a member for life. And, that's really important. At the end of the day, you also need to understand why they're connected. But usually it's business. Anybody else have any comments?
Doug, I have a few points, if I could share.
Please go ahead.
All right. So first of all, as I mentioned in the chat, I would require a copy of the advisory board chair SOP, so I could pass it on to my advisory board chair. Secondly, I'd like to talk about one of the communities that we could do, and I'm glad Shankar is here, Aarti's here. It's the South Asia community. I think the cultural ways of working is very, very similar, and I think that would be a great addition for a regional community to be there. Third, as Cesar mentioned, when we're onboarding a member, it would be great, if we could, as I could be included into the next steps process. If Eliza is sending some emails, just keep me copied to it so that I can assist the member in a way. I'm really happy to note that we onboarded a new member, Kashria, and she's really happy with how Global Chamber is moving, the fast pace we're supporting her. So thank you to HQ and everyone involved. The last one is a little bit of support that I would like to request from all of you, from your experiences. And this is regarding the advisory board. So again, cultural differences wise, from a lot of the advisory board members that we had in the past, they've moved abroad. So of course, for some reasons, the time zones, we could not adapt. The second thing that we got a request from a lot of the advisory board members was to do something in person as opposed to online. We've also done it hybrid, but what we've seen is I'm also on some standing committees of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce, which is the biggest chamber of commerce in Bangladesh. I'm in the Economic Development Committee. It's the biggest committee. There's 26 members and 6 people show up, and this is a cultural problem, unfortunately. Why I mentioned this is a lot of the advisory board members get discouraged. We have around 10 people, and 6 people showed up in the last meeting. So some people were getting discouraged, what am I doing here? So my request is what are the best steps would you suggest that the EDs have been able to do to encourage the advisory board members and be able to, get referrals from them? Thank you.
What I've seen the most effective, although it's not perfect, is having a really great board chair, somebody who understands Global Chamber, someone who's passionate and positive. One of the best examples of that is Jeffrey Garza Walker for the Phoenix chapter. You've seen Connie. Many of you have seen Connie Kadansky. She was the previous advisory board chair for there. Some of you know Lainey Denslow for Global Chamber San Francisco. She was amazing in how she pulled people together and stayed very positive and put events together. And she made it worthwhile attending the events. And so I think having a partner in crime, if you will, having a sidekick that is strong and is a good leader and can support you, it makes you stronger. And so I think that's probably the most important aspect. It doesn't solve that. I think that's a universal challenge. Everybody's really busy, and some people want to get together, some people can't get together. We've ended up doing, in person and Zoom. The last Phoenix committee, we had, I think, only 4 people in the room, and we had 15 people online, and there's 50 people in that chapter, and that's felt good, that we had almost half of the board, and there we had another quarter probably at least giving regrets, like, oh my God, I've got this or I've got that, and I'm on, it's like, okay, so at least we've got, out of 50 people, we've got probably 10 that are just kind of like not going to probably ever engage like in that way. And then we've got 40, and of that 40, most of them want to. 20 of them will probably show up one way or another, and then the other 20 are going to be busy and show up maybe part of the time. And so that's another reason why having a big board of people who are kind of go-getters, different age groups. Sometimes younger people can be good or bad relative to that. It depends. So those are some ideas.
Thank you, Dick. So I think it could be a little bit of a numbers game, around 40% show up from past statistics.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think if half the people, and we've had cases where like 60% show up, like when we did our first strategic work, people were really engaged, and I would say out of the 50, we definitely had over 30. I think we had 30 or 35 show up at the peak. And so if we have a meeting that is compelling and is unique and is well marketed, we'll get 35 out of 50. But that's probably about as high as it would get, given just the practicality of people's schedule. In a board, you want people who are busy and are important, and they have a lot of things going on. And so then the key is making sure you have a lot of them, and then creating opportunities, and have some opportunities that are better than others for them to come together, so that at least once a quarter or once every 6 months, you're getting a big group where 60%, 70% might show up.
Awesome. Great ideas. Thank you, Doug.
Anybody else have comments, please? Questions, needs? Thanks, Fernando, for your work in support of UCA. Taos, looking forward to having us continue to build out in your region as well. Europe has been a little bit slower than the rest of the world, but yeah, we'll keep working on it. And if you have any ideas, you should probably be reading.
Because as being an SME, there are so many wonderful trade associations that you can join, which means it's really competitive in the sense of exactly what we are talking about, or I'm picking up here, people's time. Besides the local chambers, normal chambers of commerce, without the beautiful global aspects that we have here, there are so many little clusters for this, clusters for that, industries focused organizations, etc. So the time, the competition for the owner manager's time is really fierce, and I think that's the main challenge that I feel we're faced with here.
Yeah, it's not going to get better. It's going to get more challenging because everybody's got yes, busier and busier, it seems. Yeah. So it does get to the point of creating opportunities that that have value. We just did an Argentina to US trade mission. It was a lot of work to schedule people like Intel and TSMC and a lot of different folks together, but the delegation from Argentina got a lot of value out of it. We started a chapter because of it. And the members that were involved got a lot of value on it. And then there was another layer of members like, oh, I wish I could have been part of that. It's like, yeah, okay, so maybe next time. So
yeah.
Christian, thank you for joining. You've had some activity here recently, so thank you for that. What's going on in your world? Anything we can do to help?
Hi, Doc. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Well, yeah, I've been keeping busy. True South keeps growing. I'm trying to get a little bit more involved in other projects for the Candy, and also we've been working, of course, bringing new members into the Global Chamber Hermosillo chapter. And we did bring one member last month, and yesterday we had a new member join, so we're really excited about that. It's a contact center, and we will be having them presenting very soon in the League of Opportunities and any other events, of course. And hey, Doc, we're looking forward to Global Chamber's 10th anniversary. It's going to be a big party, I guess, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure how yet we're going to market that, but I think we need to create something on the website, like an improved website. The website now is 10 years old. Yes. And then, for you, we're putting together this, I guess one theme of it is Sonora, Arizona, but really US, Mexico conversation of post-Mexico elections. And so I got inspired because I was talking to a member and he had some thoughts about opportunities. And so we'll just do a Globinar sometime in July, and hopefully you can join and get some members there as well to comment and maybe speak.
Definitely, that sounds great. And also, as you saw, Jeffrey visited Hermosillo last week. He did a great presentation, and he was one of the 3 speakers at the event for Sonora Global. Sonora Global is an organization that was born here in Hermosillo, and they are trying to expand Sonora business all around the world. And I've been trying to keep in contact with them. I believe you also try to contact them, and let's see if we can work together, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think I did reach out, but I didn't get a response because I don't remember anything. So yeah, please let me know how I can help there, and I'll circle back with Jeff. That's Jeffrey Garza Walker, who's our board chair. Phoenix was down in Hermosillo. So yes. William, thank you, and thank you for putting together the Thailand activity, and Tessa. We've got something coming up in Indonesia. Thank you for your participation today. Really appreciate it. Ruby, always a pleasure for you to be here, and same with Cliff. Cliff, I'm getting my brain around that event that you're putting together. I re-forwarded it to myself over the weekend so I can just sit down and really kind of fully digest the scale and the size of that. I'm really, really excited for that. And so keep us posted on how we can help with that. And Christopher, you're also in the room. Chris is one of our top 5 executive directors. He had a great month this last month, maybe your best ever. So thank you for your leadership and all your work. Is there anything that you want to share or any comments that you have?
Thanks, Doug. Just very encouraged to see the activity movement. The WhatsApp is going to be really great in order for us to be able to help lead in various niches. And so grateful for that, and grateful also to see the executive directors who are online, who are inspired to continue to push forward. So thank you.
Very good. And anything else from anybody else that kind of passed over some of you quickly? And if not, Cesar, and any final comments, anything that we left out?
Just I want to share, Doug, with the community our next webinar of the Global Chamber Morocco. opportunities of investments and business culture in Morocco. So I invite all members and executives to assist to know more about this country and also opportunities that offer for investors and for entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the series, and I think these are the kind of recurring programs to think about. You know, Stephanie mentioned about food insecurity and a topic that means something to her and to at least one member there. But I think that's a broader base for things that have that continuity, even if it's just a meetup on a regular basis, like what Ruby does for Accra. It can add a lot of value. It also creates, you know, the challenge and the opportunity of thinking about what are some of the topics and the things that our members are interested in doing. Gives them exposure, but it also gives, you know, a thread of connection between members. So that's all good. Cesar, any comments? Yep.
Doug, I'd just like to take a moment to wish everyone the upcoming Eid al-Adha Mubarak. To everyone celebrating. It's an Eid, a festival of sacrifice. And there's a lot of tough things happening in the world nowadays, economic and otherwise. And we hope that everyone finds some amount of joy in the wonderful. So Eid Mubarak to you all.
So what is that holiday? I missed that one.
It's the second Eid of the Islamic community. One is Eid al-Fitr. This is Eid al-Adha, the Eid of sacrifice.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one, so I'll do some research on that. Is that a South Asia one, a Bangladesh holiday?
No, it's a fully Islamic holiday.
Okay. Sounds good. We probably need to do a better job of knowing all the different holidays. I didn't see that one on my calendar, so sorry about that.
No worries.
And this is Stephanie again. We're doing food insecurity every other month, so it is a series.
Oh, okay.
I have one on for June, July, August is the next one. I'm gathering my speakers because there's a lot of interest in that. When I've had the meetings and people are very interested in it, so I'm just trying to make sure that I have the right speakers when I do have it every other month. But I'll provide you and Cesar additional information.
Perfect. You know, that sounds good. The next meeting of this is July 10th. So same time, same station. And so in the next month, we'll have all of the GC communities up, you know, at least kind of like this first round. We'll have, hopefully some of you will be, and maybe most of you will be a facilitator of at least one group. You may, like Stephanie, be a starter of a group. You know, however it works out, we'll love to hear your thoughts about how it's going, how you're seeing the engagement happening, how we do handing off of interests and needs. Like if we're in a regional group and someone has, you know, interest in copper wire in some other region, we need to figure out how to get them to the right group. They won't have the visibility that you have in terms of where they should go. And so part of our responsibility is to communicate to you over the next few days and then throughout the next several weeks of what the groups are, what the communities are, and then you know, what to do and how to do it, and things that you might want to do, and keep the dialogue open. Thanks, everybody. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone. Bye.
Bye.